So I'm out here ready to put in the first part of our Back to Eden garden, but it's a little bit of a process to bring them up here because I'm shoveling everything into totes and bags. But for now this will work because we're just in the beginning of the season. Once we get down here we will extend it, and that's one of the beautiful things about Back to Eden is you can just keep on adding on as you go. Okay, so here's the ingredients to I'm out here on the property. Beautiful sunny day. This is our little berry patch here that I've shown in previous videos. I got my daffodils coming in. They're so pretty. We did not put these in, but we just found out that these, we thought they were just brambles of no use. We knew they were some kind of blackberry, or raspberry, but with the wild berries, sometimes they're not very flavorful. But one of the local neighbors told us yesterday that they had picked some of these blackberries from this area last year, and they were very good. So here was the berry patch we put in with the blueberries. They're doing good. Got a couple grapes in here also. But I was thinking I might, now we got all these that are naturally growing, I think I'm going to leave them. And as I was looking at the ground here, there's one right there. We got more growing right here. So I don't want to cover them up. I want those to grow into beautiful berry plants that we can enjoy. They're already here. So I'm checking out the ground over here. It doesn't look like there's as many. So this is the spot I'm going to focus on for my first little patch of Back to Eden. This little square right in here. So a lot of people say you got to let this thing wait for a year once you put your stuff on, which is not true. I've done it a lot. I've done it for 10 years. I've been doing it, and you just keep an eye on your plants basically. But if it isn't ready, you might have to add a little, fish emulsion for extra nitrogen boost since this hasn't had time to break down. But in general, the plants just love it. Certain plants thrive in this, strawberries included, trees, but also, tomatoes and everything. Okay, so right now I'm going to kind of even out the ground a little bit. Just to get it ready to put everything down, and then I will show you what the scoop is on layering. And as you can see, this land is super raw. It's bumpy and there's sticks. And you know what? That's alright. I'm not really trying to mess with this much because the whole point of Back to Eden gardening and no-till gardening in general, whether you use straw, hay, straw kind of isn't the best thing to use, or it all depends. I love the wood chips because they're easy to come by. And a lot of the hay that we're going to be growing around here, we're going to be feeding to animals. So wood chips are a byproduct that animals can't eat, but break down into wonderful carbon additions to a garden. So we got the carbon in the wood chips, we got nitrogen for manure, and we're ready to go. And what the cardboard does, not only does it turn into compost as well over time, the worms will turn that into compost, but it also will keep these little weeds from sprouting, and when they do sprout, it'll keep those weeds from coming through and us having to pull them. So, first things first, for any lasagna or Back to Eden garden, we need step number 1, compost or manure. Or composted manure. That's in that bag. It is rabbit manure. It is mostly composted. There's some little rabbit droppings in there, quite a few actually, but the good thing about rabbits is they're cool manure, so cold manure. You don't have to wait for it to to break down. You can put it right on the garden. If you are concerned about contaminants, though, that's one of the reasons I prefer to do the manure below the cardboard, because that way unless you planted root vegetables here, which you can still, and just wash them off really good. If you're more worried about it, though, I'd stick to the stuff that will stay above the wood chips. But for us, it's perfectly fine. We're going to use the rabbit manure. And then, so after we lay that down, we're going to do cardboard. That's step number 2. And if you do use boxes, make sure you take off the tape. That's my other thing, too. And finally, you have 3 beautiful boxes of wood chips. These are gorgeous. This stuff is just, it's been composting for a year already. So it's like, you can use this. You can also use the less broken down wood chips. But in a perfect world, I would use this and then put some just chipped wood chips on top, because this stuff might allow weed seeds to sprout in it, because it's got so much worms that have already been through this and turned it into some compost that's mixed in, which is fine. It'll still hold the moisture in beautifully. It's going to do its job, but I would definitely get some plain old dry wood chips, more like this. Julie has some. It's like the stuff that was on top of the pile. I'll probably try to layer this on top, because it's harder for those weed seeds that blow in to sprout on something like this that's super dry, versus if I had all this on top. It's going to be just probably a lot more weeds. So, alright, let's get to work. Okay, so here you can see the general area that I'm turning into the garden. Just making a little square here to start off. Just starting, because it's all I could do for today, but I want to get a few things in the ground. So as you can see, I've stopped just short of the raspberry, little line of raspberries over here. There's a few weeds in there too, we'll pull them out, but I definitely don't want to cover up those beautiful raspberries. We're so excited we could forage. I don't know if they're black raspberries or regular or blackberries, but we will find out, and I'm excited, as we did end up taking quite a few out when we brush hogged this whole area. So it's good to see them popping back up. They're so prolific, but they're just beautiful. And raspberries are great for goats too. Just the brambles and stuff, after we pick them, we can cut them back every year. So many great things for that type of plant on your homestead. So I'm excited. I don't want to blot them out, so I started right here. That's step number 1, right on top of whatever, and you can do this on top of grass, because since we're putting the cardboard down, do it anywhere, on top of dirt, on top of grass. You could come in and put mushroom compost or some other kind of soil under this, but it's not exactly necessary. You might have a couple better plants this year, but if you're trying to do a big spot on the cheap, you're absolutely fine just doing a little bit of a small layer of compost or manure. This is just going to give them an extra boost, and it will draw the worms in as they come in and try to break down all this bunny poop. They're going to be just attracted to this area. So on to the cardboard. Okay, and step 2 was the cardboard. Got it on there. You want to overlap a few inches just to make it more difficult for the weeds to find their way up. I did 5 smaller pieces of cardboard and then 2 larger ones right there on each end. Just think it gives it a neater appearance that way. My manure was not covering this whole area, but I just thought I'd give it a little extra, because why not? And honestly, you probably could do it without manure, especially stuff that doesn't need a lot of nutrients. I'll tell you what, there is plenty of nutrients right in this. I could grow probably half of my garden just off of this alone. But if you're trying to grow stuff like melons, tomatoes, peppers, you know, stuff that takes a little more energy to produce the fruits and stuff, you probably need to add something. However, if you don't have access to manure, I've done it before with just cardboard and wood chips, and then add a whole bunch of just fish emulsion every week, or sprinkle of the manure you get at the store that's in a bag. So that does take a little more time and effort and money. So, but some people might not have access to manure. A friendly tip: find someone, call your local 4-H or cooperative extension office, and find somebody who has rabbits. Offer to clean their coops. You can get their poop that way. We've always been able to find farmers who are willing to give away their poop. Some of them do use it for gardening, farming, whatever, but a lot of them don't, and they just have piles of it, and it's turning into beautiful compost. Some of it's years old and ready to go. So call around, be resourceful. Facebook groups of local homesteading people, anything. There's Rowan. Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Okay, we'll take a time out. I gotta put the wood chips down, then we'll be all done and I'll start to plant. Okay, so step 3 is the wood chips. Got my little helper here, spreading them out. Try not to get them off of the cardboard. Yeah. Probably could have done with another extra bucket of them, but I made my area bigger than I originally intended. Because I just want a bigger garden, but eventually we can come back up and add more wood chips to this. Right now they're probably only going to be an inch or two thick. I prefer about 4 inches anyways, minimum. But this should hold the cardboard down. Another special trick I've learned over the years of trying to do this with minimal inputs is, just so this don't blow away, I'm gonna stick this in here. And that should just kind of gives it a little marking and holds it down. So, want me to take over, hon?
Nope.
So eventually we're gonna come back with more. And I'll take that now, please. Thank you. Tie your shoe, okay? Can you? Okay. Alright. Okay, be back in 1 minute. I'm gonna spread this around a little more. Okay. There you have it. I'm probably gonna come up and put another load of chips on top of here tomorrow before we leave. But and I probably will lay some logs down too around it, even though we're going to be extending it out this way and probably that way also. This whole middle area is going to be a giant garden, but for now it's a good start. I don't think I'm going to plant anything in it right now because I'm going to put more wood chips on it, but I do have a bunch of flower bulbs to plant and some onion sets. I might do it over in my other spot that I've started. It's not really a garden. It's more like a little area. If you do want to plant, this is what I always tell people, seeds can go right in here. If I was to plant peas or something right now, I would put a little bit, well, first of all, add a couple more inches of this so that you have minimum 4 inches of wood chips. That's going to keep in the moisture better for you. This is the stuff that holds the moisture, this broken down wood. So the dry stuff I'm going to put on top is what's going to be drier, and this stuff underneath is going to stay nice and wet. And only the sun will only be able to absorb the moisture from the top layer. So, but anyways, if I was going to plant something here, I'd sweep these aside a little bit, put down a little handful of dirt or compost, and then sprinkle in some peas. And they will, after a couple weeks, this cardboard is going to break down. But if you're going to put transplants in here, I always just take a little screwdriver or whatever tool I have, jab it in there, make a little hole, then stick your transplant in, and then put the wood chips back over top of it. I've had great success with this method, and it holds the water in so much better. I mean, the plants love it. So definitely check back in a couple months and you will be seeing a beautiful garden started here. I just wanted to put this post out here now.
Hello.
There's Rowan. Because I've been seeing so many people who are trying to get people over to their house to till their yard, to put in a garden. I think a lot more people are putting in gardens for the first time this year with food prices what they are. So now I can just send them this video and explain it like myself without having to type a million words, because I've already been telling people all about Back to Eden for a while now. But I just think it's nicer to see somebody do it step by step. Because when you watch the Back to Eden documentaries, it's already there and beautiful, but there's nobody showing you how to do it. And I do love that documentary, though. Back to Eden, Paul Gauchi. Beautiful. Yes, honey?
If you hear, she has a stuffy nose, so don't be alarmed that she has a cold. It's just a stuffy nose.
Thank you. All right, so that is all for the Back to Eden tutorial, and thank you for watching. And if you have any questions on how to make this work, or if other materials will be suitable, just comment below and I'll be happy to get back to you. I love helping people set up their gardens. I think everyone should be growing at least a little bit of their own foods, so that they know how to do it in case things get even worse with the economy and we depend on it more to feed our
fishy.
Fishy what? In case things get fishy in the world. Yeah, I think the world's already pretty fishy, so learn to grow your own food. If you need help, ask me, and that's all for now. Want to say thanks for watching?
Thanks for watching. Bye. Just so funny.